Hello, everybody. Welcome to another one of Protect Academy's and Mr. Ajit Pal Singh's LinkedIn Live events. So, we will be taking the event forward in just a while. So, till then, let's wait for more people to join us and then we'll commence. All right. Thank you everybody for joining us for the event today. And also, thank you to everybody who's going to be watching this event later in the recorded format. You're always welcome, and we're always glad to have you all with us. So, today we have Mr. Ajit Pal Singh, and he is, as you all know, he is a cybersecurity, cloud security, information security expert, and a veteran in the industry. Welcome, sir. Thanks so much for taking out the time. So, without further ado, I recommend you go ahead with the session. I think we have a lot of interesting things to discuss
Yeah,
today.
thanks, Kushi, for candid introduction of mine. No, I'm not an expert, still a learner, still learning a lot of things, and a long, long way to go because life is like that only. Okay, thank you, everyone. My name is Ajit Pal Singh Budhawan. I am available on our LinkedIn by the same name. Okay, so I welcome you all on behalf of Protect Academy for this session on application level threats. And this has become more important because of the incident we have seen around 3 4 days ago, which has paralyzed almost all the industry, all most of the world, especially the things which were running on systems. So that shows the importance of application level security in our day-to-day life. So in this session, I will take you through some common web application level threats, okay, which can impact us. Although uh, these are very commonly used, but depending on the application, it can cause chaos in your day-to-day life. Okay, so I won't be look this session is more from the conceptual perspective of those. We will cover these threats from the conceptual perspective, not from technical hands-on perspective, because as this is a 1 hour session, my main aim is to take you through what is application level threats, what are the different types of threat, and how it can impact in your day-to-day life, and how you can prevent yourself. So let's start. So my this is me. You can see my profile on the LinkedIn also. I'm available by the same name, Ajit Pal Singh Budhawan. I have 20 years of experience in IS audits, security operations. I worked into leadership roles, worked on many projects related to security testing, vulnerability assessments. Right now, working into compliance and management roles, where my role is majorly around audit, compliance, and regulatory. I do have the same years of experience, 20 years of experience in professional training. I've conducted 250 plus training sessions on CISA, CISM, CCSP, C-Risk, SSCP, and Security Plus. I am an ISC2 authorized trainer for CISSP and CCSP, and ISACA authorized trainer for CISA, CISM, and C-Risk. So apart from these five certifications, I've also done ISO 27000 lead auditor, 22301 lead auditor, then CIPPE, then CCISO, many others. So that my main purpose of doing this certification is to gather knowledge in diverse field of security, because in security diversity is very very important, because security touches different parts of the organization, be it privacy, it touches application, it touches privacy, it touches audit. So the More diverse you are, the more valuable you will be in the market. So I am speaking on behalf of Protect Academy. Thanks to Protect Academy for providing me this platform. Okay, where we every week we come up with newer and newer topics, newer so that our audience, our aspirants are enlightened about the different ways of making careers into cybersecurity and different topics of cybersecurity. We at Protect Academy offers you a private, quality, comprehensive certification trainings on cybersecurity trainings on CISSP, CISA, CISM, CH, CompShare Security Plus. Even we are running a very specialized course, which can up basic introductory course of cybersecurity, which is for those people who want to move into cybersecurity. So this is about the introduction. I will not take much time of yours, and before I will not take much time of yours before I start with the actual things. So this is the agenda. In agenda, we will start with the introduction. What is application? Why it is important? Then in this, we will cover different types of attacks like buffer overflow, SQL injection. I will give you a very nice example of SQL injection. How someone simply by using simply by using a slide or simply by using a printout, he has caused the SQL injection attack, then cross-site scripting, request forgery, and what are the mitigation strategies for it. So let's start now. So again, before we start, I know you all are here. Whoever is here, he is interested in cybersecurity. So I always mention this to all people who are coming to me for guidance on cybersecurity. So if you are really serious about making a career into information security, cybersecurity, make below habits a part of your day-to-day life. Reading books, cybersecurity books definitely, but at the same time, pick up books related to different topics, listening, podcasts, and videos. And depending on the role you are seeking for, go for technical hands-on. Even if you are a manager or senior person, there is no substitute to hands-on these days because world is changing a lot. So this is the advice I always say: make these three things part of your day-to-day life. You will never be unsuccessful in your career, and you will always get success if you make these things parts of it. Sometimes people ask me, okay, how would you keep yourself updated? I do read journals, security journals and all, but I do read books. I keep myself updated from LinkedIn, medium.com, and even from the newspaper because there are so many things related to security in today's world also. So it's how you interpret, how you read it, how observant you are, that is more important. Okay, then let's start. What is application? In simple words, so we are here in this session to understand application level threats. So we can't go directly to application level threats. We need to understand what is application. In simple words, if I talk about application is basically a software which takes input, process input, and give you an output. Correct? Simple words. So application attacks are those attacks which are malicious attempts to exploit weakness into a software application to gain unauthorized access to the data, system, or resources. So there could be many weaknesses in your application. So hackers, what they try to do, they try to exploit those weaknesses. By exploiting those weaknesses, they can access your data in an unauthorized manner. I give you one example about application level threats. Lot my times you see we have a very lovely neighbor. We are surrounded by uh, very loving neighbors, I would say. Every now and then you see attacks going on. You see it in the news that Indian hackers have hacked Pakistani website. They have posted a lot of uh, gibberish stuff on that. So what is that? They have exploited the application using cross-site scripting and posted gibberish stuff on it. So yes, you can post hostile content. You can have unauthorized access to the data which you shouldn't be having it. You can make the services unavailable, like what has happened around 3 days ago. So there could be many ways in which application attacks can happen. Okay, so they target the application layer. because it is through application layer we user interact with the system. So they target the application layer and the backend systems that store and process the data. So as I told you, they can access your data in an unauthorized manner. They can deploy hostile content. They can take they can hijack your sessions. They can put hostile, they can deface your websites. Okay, and even I've seen in application layer attacks, this is on MRI machines. So they, with the help of a malware, they have modified, so that malware was designed to modify the reports of healthy person showing tumors in that. So you can see the importance and impact of application layers security. And even I can tell you, two planes, Boeing 737, I don't know whether you have heard about it or not. Now, Boeing has stopped producing those planes. So, in the absence of updates, two plane crashed, not simultaneously, but over the period of 3 months. It was some African airline, African countries. More than 200 people in total died because of an application security and application. It was not a attack, but yes, it was kind of a threat, a vulnerability in a system which causes the problem. So you can see the importance of application security in our day-to-day life. Like for example, you have a mobile app, Google Drive, in which you have your personal photographs. I know the Gen Z, they are in a habit of keeping photographs, exchanging photographs with boyfriend, girlfriend. You have a photograph in your Google Drive. By mistake, the Google Drive gets shared with someone else. He got access to your photograph, the private photograph. So it is not only a technical issue, it is a personal issues also these days. So that is why application security is important. You should be aware of some basic. I will, in this session I will take you through about different kinds of attacks and the basic hygienes and basic measures that you can take at your own level and definitely at an organization level by the tester to protect the organizations. So why application security is important these days? Application security is a critical component in a system security because it is through applications user interact with the systems. Applications these days have privileged access to your operating system, hardware, other resources. You can see these days we are dependent on application for everything. In 2017, I still remember that day when I went to Bangalore for a training and my mobile starting giving me issues. For one day, I was like handicapped. So I was like totally cut off from the world till I purchased a new phone and put my SIM into it. So it handles your bank credit card. It has been a part of your day-to-day life. Applications, they do have access to databases which has your critical information in it. Like when I access a banking website, okay, banking website has an application which is further connected to the banking database. Applications are the heart of modern enterprise and perform business critical functions. I remember an incident in 2017 for British Airways where their facilities were unavailable for around 5 hours due to an outage because applications were not working. And why are we going very far? Last week, what happened because of just one update? Application failures can disrupt businesses. I've given you an example. It can impact your personal life. It can make plane fall. It can it can cause satellite to malfunction. It can make your missile malfunction also. So you can see the importance of application security in our day-to-day life. So this is just an introduction. Let me take you through some different kinds of application level attacks. One of the very common attack is buffer overflow attack. What is buffer? Buffer is a space in a memory which stores your data. Like we have a house where we live. In our house, we have place for 5 people to live. If we add 5 more people, it will be a problem. There will be an encroachment of space of the people of the houses. Same thing. Another example. Suppose take an analogy. Suppose you have a bucket in your bathroom. It is the capacity of that bucket is 25 liters. Now you pour 30 liters water into it. Where will that 5 liter water go? It will overflow, fall down, wet the floor, and anyone can spill onto it. Similarly, in applications, there is a specific memory allocated for a system to work. And if you, in the absence of input validation, means whosoever is because when software is what? It takes input, process input, and give you an output. So whatever input you are taking, you should validate it, check it. Like for example, when someone wants to enter your house, he will press a doorbell, you will check whether he's known to you or not, and then only you will allow him. So that same thing is called input validation in software. So it will, in the absence of input validation, if a hacker is deliberately able to put more data than what your buffer can handle, then that is called a buffer overflow. So that extra systems, that extra data is there in your system, and your buffer doesn't have a capability. Now it will start moving out and encroach the space of another program, and another program will malfunction. So that is a big problem. So, and it is not always deliberate. Let's take another example. I am working on a firewall configuration. It's around 300 lines. I have copied that firewall configuration or some text configuration. At the same time, I'm working in an application. Accidentally, I pasted that on a on an application. An application doesn't have an input validation. It accepts all 300 lines of a data. So application attacks are not always deliberate. Sometimes in their ignorance also, they become victims. So buffer flow is like where your software accept more data than what it can handle. When it accepts more data, this will encroach the space of another program, and another program will malfunction. So that could create a problem for you. That is what a buffer overflow is. So one real world example of a buffer overflow, this happened. There was a malicious software exploited a buffer overflow vulnerability in Microsoft SQL Server. There was a worm which spread rapidly by sending a small, specially crafted packet of data to a vulnerable causing a buffer overflow. So how would you protect it? Make sure that you do an input validation properly. You manage your memories properly, because uh, there are certain programming languages like C, C++, which have an inherent vulnerability of buffer flow or memory mismanagement in it. So wherever possible, use Java or any other programming language. It will be helpful for you. So reasons for buffer flow, as I told you, lack of input validation, because whenever we talk about application level input, application level attacks, always remember lack of input validation is a big problem, because if you don't validate the input, people can input the bad data into the system, because they are good people, they are bad people. And sometimes it's not always bad people. Sometimes good people in their ignorance input bad data. So lack of input validation is a big problem. There are programming languages like C, C++, which has inherent problems of handling the management. Then poor programming practices. When you are writing a program, you have not anticipated the proper space for a program, and you have given less space, and because of that this overflow happens, and poor memory management of or management of memory allocation. So these are some of the reasons of it. The next one is about malicious update. I, as of now, because what we see last week, I won't call it a malicious update, but we can't ignore the possibility of a malicious update. because there is still a conspiracy theory that no system in China and Russia were impacted. So their release is updated, they release update, and when that update was applied to the systems across the world which was using CrowdStrike, it started creating problems for it. So I won't call it a malicious one, but in some way it has behaved like a malicious. So malicious update occurs when legitimate software or firmware is altered or replaced with a version containing harmful code through an update mechanisms. You might have seen in movies, okay, that okay, if someone wants to kill thousands of people, he will go and 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 poisons some water source or something like that. And when people get that water or food, they get impacted by it. And a recent example, I would say, although it's not related to malicious update, but yes, there someone has poisoned the water source of a Florida. Just give me a minute. So, although I won't call it an application layer one, so there is one hacker who, what he did, he poisons the water source by manipulating the OT machine which was used there. So we were saved in time. The people of Florida were saved in time because they were able to find that this thing has happened. So malicious updates have a big problem. Okay, user simply believing that they have updated their software system may unknowingly install the malicious version, and you can't do much here because you trust CrowdStrike. You are taking updates. I'm using Windows. I if Windows updates are being release. So without validating, and me as a or you as a normal user, we don't have a way of checking that update whether that's malicious or not. I'm talking about the even I can do it, but it's not worth that that every people has to check it for the malicious update, because for that you require a device, you require an environment to check that. Not possible. So that's the reason it's a responsibility of a company to do those things, to check those things properly at their end. I would say definitely at a CrowdStrike there would have been a miss, but sometimes technologies behaves very weirdly, and still not many things are coming out. How these things from the CrowdStrike happened, no one knows, and no one can deny as of now that. Uh, I would say investigation is going on. No one would can deny that it may be someone has poisoned the update which has been released. And the next example you can see, it you can very well correlate with what has happened around 3 weeks to last week. You see the CC cleanup, they releases their update. Hackers were able to hack the update server and poisons the update, and this poisoned update were being sent to thousands of systems across the world. So that is what happened last week. Although as of now, no evidence that update was poisoned. So here you can't do much, to be very honest, in especially in updates. But yes, there are updates related to IPS, intrusion prevention system. So there you can have some testing in some other systems, some backup systems. But when we talk about the Windows updates and all, no, not not that practically viable for a normal person like us, who is an end user, to test those things. So you see how powerful the impact can be. Update a simple update which we use it in our day-to-day life. Okay, just recently my phone has been for updated my phone. It looks a very simple thing, and you see one simple thing has caused an outage, chaos. It was a billions of dollars loss the world and companies have faced in last one day. I don't exact 3 or 4 days ago. I would say that happened Friday, to be more specific. Today is what, Wednesday. Yeah, SQL injection. SQL stands for structured query language. So we use database in our day-to-day life. Database. for storing the data. Companies uses it, okay, database for storing it. SQL is basically a language through which you can interact with the database, okay. So in this what is injection attack? Injection attack is an attack where attacker inject malicious data into the system, which in absence of input validation get accepted by a system and processed by a system. And when it get processed, it do things which it was designed to do. A lot of you might be thinking that why this car picture with this number plate. This is a SQL query. This happened in US. You know, when you overspeed, although when you overspeed camera, speed camera instruct for speed gun finds out, detect if you're overspeeding. If you're overspeeding, it sends an instruction it sends an instruction to a camera to click a picture of front and rear number plate so that your so that your car number plate can picture of car number plate can be clicked, and this picture is inputted into your backend database. So this happened around 20 years ago in US. Someone was overspeeding and he deliberately covered his front and rear number plate with this SQL query. And there was no input validation inbuilt at that point because no one thought that someone can input a malicious query in this manner. So it was accepted as an input by a SQL system and it deleted the entire database. This happened in India also, but it was not a deliberate attempt. You know, people are in a habit of having, now it's a standard number plate across the India that you have to use. But yes, earlier it was not that uniformly applied. So someone had a fancy number plate. He was overspeeding, it got clicked, and database mistakenly taken it as a who took it as a query, and database got corrupted. So you see, these are the different ways hackers uses to cause harm to you. So how you can protect it, like update and patch, that is the best thing. There are two things which is like universally applicable for protection as a protection mechanism for any application layer attack. Update and patching is must. Perform input validation, that is another thing. Limit account privileges, because if you need read access, then why am I giving you read and write access? No. Use stored procedure. So allow, write a procedure, the method, and only suppose there are three methods approved to access this database. Only if someone is using fourth method, no, don't allow it. So that is SQL injection in a simplest manner. So hacker inject malicious input or SQL query in which in absence of input validation, if get accepted, it can cause it can cause chaos in a database. It can do things which an hacker designed it to do, maybe delete database, may be able to retrieve the database, or maybe able to modify the database up to, means it all depends upon is the what is the SQL query, or what is the injection, what is the instruction which hacker has given into that. Then cross-site scripting. This is again a very, very common thing which not many people are aware of. It is very simplest attack in very simplest attack and one of the oldest attack. Okay, very simplest and oldest attack, but very difficult to understand sometimes what is cross-site. So cross-site scripting, in simple words, cross-site scripting is also represented by XSS. Okay, suppose how it works in a simplest manner. Okay, there is a website if there is a website which has a XSS vulnerability in it. Okay, suppose there is a website abc.com, which has a XSS vulnerability in it. Okay, hacker finds out that there is a vulnerability in that system. So this XSS vulnerability allows hacker to inject malicious code into your system. Suppose hacker finds out that there is a vulnerability in your system and he has injected malicious code into the system. I would call it XYZ. When you as a user tries to access this website, this malicious code executed on your system and make your system do things which an hacker wants it to do. In simple word, XSS vulnerability allows hacker to inject malicious code into an application when normal user try to access this application which has been injected with malicious code. This malicious code get executed on user browser and do things which it wants it to do. It may steal passwords, it may steal website, it may steal passwords, it may steal data, it may deface the website. Okay, it may deploy hostile content on it. So you can see it over here, whatever I've explained. So there is a web application, abc.com, which has XSS vulnerability in it. Presence of this vulnerability in web application. So hacker, if it finds out this vulnerability, he will inject malicious script in the web server. And when user tries to access application abc.com through this through its browser to this malicious script which get executed by a hacker on this application. This will get executed on user browser and do things which an hacker wants it to do. I will give you two examples here. Okay, in 2018 government of India have deactivated 2009 20 I suppose, yeah, government of India deactivated Aadhaar card number. All of a sudden we start getting phishing emails. Please, they in that phishing email there were an email mentioned, there is a link mentioned. Please go to that link and check. Please go to that link and check to verify whether your Aadhaar card number is there in that list or. So if you click that link, you will be redirected to the website which has been injected with malicious code by a hacker because of XSS vulnerability in it. And you execute when you access it through your browser, that code get executed on your user browser. Another example, suppose you are preparing for CISSP, okay, and you are looking for some dumps or some guidance. So you come across a link on a Quora or a Medium. So when you visit that link on a Quora post or a post on Quora or a Medium, there is a script imbibed by a hacker in that post, and that get executed on your user browser. So that is what a cross-site scripting is. Always remember, okay, in a simplest manner, if a system or an application has cross-site scripting vulnerability in it, hacker can inject malicious code, and when you access this infected website which has been injected with malicious code, this malicious code get executed on user browser, your user browser, do things which it has been designed to do. So this is what a cross-site scripting in a simplest manner. What is the impact of it? I told you it can hijack your sessions, deploying hostile content, as I have given example in the beginning, that every now and then you see Indian hackers have hacked some country's website, Ukrainian hackers have hacked Russian website. It all uses cross-site scripting for deploying hostile content specifically. It can impersonate the user, it can hijack your sessions, take control of the sessions, or even it can be done through phishing. Then next one is about cross-site request forgery. It is quite different from a cross-site scripting, although these days it is not very much possible because for performing this, you have to have two things. which are considered as a breeding ground for your cross-site request forgery. Let's take one example. I showcase it to you. Give me a minute. Suppose this is banking website access. I have accessbank.com opened. I've opened this website, correct? If this website only authenticate me once, okay, we know that on our banking websites, first we have to authenticate yourself in the beginning, and after that, if you want to transfer money, want to request the transfer or anything, you have to, they will ask for the OTP, correct? OTP, or you have to enter your transaction passwords. But suppose there is a website which only authenticate you once you log in. After that, it will not ask you for further authentication. And suppose Axis Bank is that website which only authenticate you once. Suppose you have, and it has another thing, it doesn't have any expiration time set up. Means there is the once you log in, and if you forget to close your browser, you will continue logged in into this system. So suppose you logged in and forgot to log off, and there is another website open in another tab, Amazon.com. So Amazon.com will take control over a Jeet session, okay, and make a request to transfer 10,000 rupees. This Axis Bank think that it is Ajit who is making the request, but in reality, it is Amazon which is making the request. And why this request will be successful? Because there is no further authentication setup, which means that Ajit has logged in, and once he's logged in, he can transfer the money or do anything which he wants to do. There is no further authentication setup. So Amazon.com will take advantage of, will take control over Ajit's session and make a request to transfer money to Amazon account. This banking website think it is Ajit who is making a request, but in reality, it is Amazon.com, which is making the request to transfer the money. And this money transfer will be successful because there is no further authentication setup. So always remember, that's the reason. If you see, if I log in into this banking website, after it will ask me for further authentications, okay, and it will, if I continue, if there is certain time of inactivity, it will the website session will log out. Sometimes you may think these kind of things are not available. I tell you, in 2000, there are still websites which have these vulnerabilities. In remember, in 2018 or 17, there was a money heist in Bank of Bangladesh, and the Bank of Bangladesh was not able to find out who attacked and who stole their money, because their whole infrastructure was running on, the internet banking was running on a switch. There was no firewall, so they were not able to find out that who was the culprit in that case. So still, across the world, whatever you see on a LinkedIn is not the true organization's infrastructure. Yes, we are hearing about AI, we are hearing about ML, but still there is a legacy infrastructure in an organization. Things doesn't change very quickly. Yes, there are organizations, financial organization, where they have to comply with a lot of regulations, and also they do it. But there are many small organizations which doesn't work like that. Still, there are legacy infrastructure available in a lot of organizations. Okay, so that is our cross-site request forgery in a simplest manner. So you can see the cross-site request forgery utilize unintended behavior that are proper in defined use, because Amazon request to transfer money was unintended behavior, but it was proper in defined use because it was perfect. It was legitimate as per banking website, because Ajit can make requests. So it is performed against sites that have an authenticated user and exploit the site trust in a previous authentication event. So they have exploited the Ajit trust in a previous authentication event. Then by tricking a user browser to send an HTTP request to the target site, the trust is exploited. So you can see, assume your bank allows you to log in and perform financial transaction, but does not validate authentication for each subsequent request, which means that once you log in, after that you are free to do anything, transfer money, add pay, delete pay, request money, etc. Now, user opens a banking website like accessbank.com and authenticate himself on a banking website. If a user is still logged in, suppose I am still logged in, have not closed my browser, then an action in another browser tab could send a hidden browser, like I've given it to you, explained to you. Amazon could send a hidden request, resulting in a transaction that appears to be authorized because bank think that it is Ajit who is making the request, but in reality it is Amazon which is making the request. So this transaction get executed successfully as banking application think it is being executed by the user, Ajit, but in reality it was being executed by Amazon. So that is what a cross-site request forgery is. So cross-site scripting and cross-site request forgery look same, but no, they are quite different from each other. So prevention, make your people aware that they have to log off. Okay, scan and perform the testing regularly. Limit the authentication time. Okay, and cookie expiration. Cookie is through which your system makes the website keep a track of your browser. So if a cookie is set to, there's a timer you can set it up. So if you have set up a small time, then even if you are inactive, the browser activity will expire. So there are some thumb rules. Look, there are different methods of prevention against application layer attack, but there are some universal rule which is applicable everywhere. Regularly update the software. Look, once you develop the software, whatever vulnerabilities, whatever weaknesses you come across are during the software development process, you can handle it. But once the software is out into the production or application is out into the production, if you come across vulnerability, the only way to mitigate that vulnerability is by implementing the patching. So the problem which we face, the whole world face, CrowdStrike releases a patch quickly to mitigate that. Wherever possible, implement strong authentication. Okay, there are three factors of authentication: something you know, something you have. Something you know is a pin and a password. Something you have, like when you go to ATM, okay, it has two-factor authentication in it, so that even if someone gets your card, he will not be able to take money out of it unless and until he doesn't have a pin to it. So wherever possible, use multi-factor authentication. Validate the user input. Whatever, as I told you in the beginning, application accept input, process input, and give you an output. There are not always, means there are good people, then there are bad people also. Like when you are, a lot of you, I am a father, so I know I will prepare my daughters for good and bad thing both, because in world, real world, there will be good and bad people both. Similarly, when we talk about applications, it is configured to accept some specific kind of input, but yes, there are good and bad people. Sometimes people deliberately input bad data, and sometimes in ignorance they input the bad data. Like for example, accidentally I cut copy the big configuration file and paste it on the address field while filling my banking form. If input validation is not configured, then all that 300, 400 words will be accepted by an application, and definitely that application is not configured to handle in an address form field that 400 words. So it will definitely collapse. So please, same as I told you, when someone wants to meet you, okay, he ring a doorbell, then through camera or by going out, you see, or through a phone, you see, try to validate who is at the other side, who is outside. You don't allow everyone to meet and come to your house. Follow secure coding practices. OWASP and many application security standards which have developed a secure coding practices. You can follow it, so you can use it as a reference from some standardized or from third party vendors, or plus you can have develop on your own, and regularly test applications. That is vulnerability assessment and penetration testing both. Vulnerability assessment means it depends upon what kind of application it is. Vulnerability assessment is a process by which you try to identify the vulnerabilities, and then penetration testing, you try to exploit the vulnerability to see to how much, to what extent they are exploitable. And if it is a web application, then normal web application, normal network application scanner, or normal applications, a normal scanner can't do a job. You have to have a specific web application scanner. And there, in a web application especially, a normal automated scanner will not be successful. You need to have a mix and match of both automated and manual testing and coding review. Web application testing is pretty sophisticated in nature. Not everyone can learn and do it. So that is the reason, this web application testing and this web applications, this is a kind of a role which sits between a security people and our application person. And it is always an Achilles heel for our security people because they are not very good in software application. And this is an Achilles heel for developer also because they are not good into security. So somewhat people have to come together, both of them has to come together and learn and be and proficient in this. This is not a very easy field. I can learn, I have 20 years of experience. I can learn anything, and I've learned this thing also. But this is the thing, this web application is the thing which has given me a tough time, because for that you need to have a knowledge of HTTP, you need to have a knowledge of how applications works and all, and this is not a very easy thing to get. But again, nothing is tough or easy. It all depends upon how persistently and consistently you follow it and the other things. So that is about from my side, mate. Okay. So if you have any questions or query, as I told you in the beginning, I will only be restricting this to a conceptual part of it because technically within 1 hour session, it is not possible. Okay, we do run different courses, CSSP, CCSP, CSSP, CCSP, CompTIA Security Plus. There you will get to know these things in detail. In CISA and CISM, yes, they have application security in the syllabus, but not to that depth. So if you really want to deep dive into the things, we do have courses running for it. CSSP, it is a part of it. In CSSP, Dominate, we have a part of it. And CompTIA Security, again, it is a part of it. So thank you very much. Okay, if you have any questions, over to you. I'm not able to see any questions here. Ghazal, if you can see, then let me know.
Hi, sir. Thanks so much for an insightful session. I'm also going to project Protect Academy's contact number on the screen. So, in case anybody is looking to get started on their CISSP or CCSP, Security Plus, and multiple certification journeys, then do feel free to reach out to us. And if you have any questions, any queries, anything you'd like to discuss or mention to Mr. Ajit Pal Singh, then please do feel free to leave it in the comment section, and he'd love to answer all of your queries.
Yeah, it can be related to your career, it can be related to certification you are interested in. Yes, you can ask the questions if you have. Speak up, mate. I always believe in one thing. There is an ad of Tata Sky. Okay, पूछने में क्या जाता है? What's wrong in asking question? Be it anything.
Right, right. I think it was also Pooch ke to dekho.
Yep,
Yeah.
be it anything. No, no question is stupid or no question is bad. If you have any questions, I'm there to ask. We are taking 1 hour. I'm taking 1 hour time out of my busy schedule just for you, so that you people can be aware of the thing. So ask the question.
So I think we can wait for another like 20-30 seconds in
No
case there is
worries.
a lag. A LinkedIn user is thanking you, sir, for the session.
Thank you. So I'm available on LinkedIn using my name, which I've mentioned it earlier. Okay, Ajit Pal Singh Wadhwa. You just put the full name of mine, uh, you will find me because there is only one Ajit Pal Singh Vadhavan from security. My name is not very common. So
Oh,
even
wow.
if you don't have a question right now, okay, so you can, if you have any question related to your career, your any certification, or anything, we are there to help you out.
Absolutely, sir.
Okay, I think Ghazal, we can then wind it up.
Right, right.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
thanks so much, sir, for joining us and again taking out the time from your busy schedule. And
No
thank you,
worries.
everybody who's been watching. And your participation really helps us and encourages us to keep bringing up these insightful sessions. So, thank you so much. And, sir, I think we'll see them again in the next one.
Yeah, yeah. So next one we will be talking about the impact of AI on security. So that will be our session. So maybe we
Great.
will be doing it in second week of August.
Sure, sir.
Mine
Absolutely.
one, mine one. It is mine one. But yes, Protect Academy will be having further sessions because we do conduct one session per week. Gazal, correct?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Sometimes it is 2 sessions per week as well.
Yeah.
So we try to
Okay.
bring as much good quality free content as possible.
Sure. Thank you very much. Then. Bye.
All right. Thanks, sir. Thank you, everybody. See you in the next one.